Okay, so let me go ahead and mute. Perfect. So I'm really excited to welcome tonight Adam Packard. He is our East Coast sales guy. So I want to introduce him and let him tell you a little bit about how he came to Isogenics, how long he's been with Isogenics, and what his experience has been so far. But I can tell you that Adam is very hands-on, and me personally, it helps to have people from corporate that are always willing to roll up their sleeves and help us. And I can't tell you how many other companies that I've worked for, not in network marketing, but first of all, the corporate people are not as excited, they're not as healthy, they're not as knowledgeable, and most people don't really go out of their way to help. And I really want to thank Adam for doing this. We have a lot of people that hit Crystal Manager and Manager, and it's such a beautiful stepping stone. It's such a wonderful milestone that I, approached Adam and I said, I want to do something amazing for our team, because now we've got, 67 people that want to run to Crystal Director, and what can we do? And he's like, all right, let's get on, let's teach them the pools, and let's help them maximize their business and their knowledge. And today, Adam is working from home. So even more so, thank you so much for extending yourself and being with us tonight. I'm very, very appreciative.
Well, thank you. Sorry for my disheveled appearance. I'm not in my corporate gear here as I'm chasing my 20-month-old son around today. So, but no, first of all, congratulations to all of you guys that hit Crystal Manager. I know if you're recording this, you probably have a few extras that couldn't hop on, but hopefully we'll give you some tips and tricks and just kind of give you the director pools as simply as possible so you understand how to maximize them. My background just a little bit was I started my career actually in the golf industry, realized in the golf business you don't play any golf, you work long hours and you don't get paid very much. So I quickly moved on from that profession, actually got into the personal development world, working for a motivational speaker, and did that. And as I was doing that in my early 20s, I found network marketing and started the network marketing business with my dad and my brother, and started that in 2005. So I was in the field for 10 years building, training out in the field for that company, and just got burned out. Not every company has the trajectory that Isogenics has, and I was looking for something new. I got a recruiting letter from a company saying they were looking for sales managers for Isogenics. I actually play golf with Jim Coover, which is kind of funny. And so I called Jim up, and that's kind of how I got my foot in the door at Isogenics. So about 2 years ago, I started as a regional manager for the central part of the U.S., and then just about 6 months ago, I moved to the director of sales for the East. So cover a couple areas on the East Coast, and I just love what I do. It's kind of funny because I get to do what I was doing before, but just get paid a little bit differently. And I think having the background of being out there in the field before and doing the meetings and getting the rejection and prospecting and recruiting and doing all that really helps me when I'm connecting with top leaders and helping coach people on how to really get this business off the ground. So, and I love comp plans. I'm a numbers guy. So when we see the director pools, executive pools, I get excited to really teach people how to maximize these. And they're really simple when you break it down.
Awesome.
So
before you start with the plan, I just want to ask you a question, because for many of us, we're very new to network marketing and we're not familiar with other companies and what separates Isogenics. And because you've been around the block, tell me why you feel that this company holds the highest standard in terms of the compensation plan, in terms of the people. I mean, Jim and Kathy are just, incredible. So for those of us that are blessed and lucky enough to be with Isogenics as our home, our first company. I mean, Jay Bennett told me he used to sell pantyhose. He said, you thank your lucky stars you got into Isogenics. So tell us a little bit about what separates ISA.
You know what? It's such a good question. And I'm never one to compare different network marketing companies, just because I think anybody that's in any network marketing company, we want to promote them, right? So even if we don't agree and say, you know what, our products are better, we know we have great products at Isogenics. But if someone's involved in network marketing, God bless them. I think it's awesome because a rising tide lifts all boats, and we just want to support each other. So, but I've been a part of multiple companies. The one for 11 plus years, and then I dabbled in a couple others. And I would say, it's a few things. And Isogenics has really kind of brought my faith back in network marketing. I kind of lost it for a little bit. So being around a billion-dollar company and seeing how it operates from the inside is a totally unique experience. So I would say a few things. Number one, they haven't changed the base compensation plan in 15 years. That's huge. Anytime a company makes changes, whether it's comp plan or not, people stop working, they ask questions, they leave. It's not good to make these massive changes as far as compensation plans go. So that's a huge thing. Products first. I mean, a lot of companies get started and they develop these amazing compensation plans and marketing plans, and then they're like, oh, by the way, what's our product going to be? and a lot of these companies get started just to make money. And knowing how Isagenix was started and why it was started goes a long way into the integrity of the company. So, Jim and Kathy didn't need to start a network marketing company. John Anderson didn't need to start a network marketing company, but they wanted to create a company and do it the right way. So the integrity of the founders, and really, I mean, as you know, Jim and Kathy, they're the same people on stage as they are if you were to sit down and have a cup of coffee with them. They really are. And I've had the chance to spend a lot of time with Jim and Kathy, and they're just salt of the earth. Just the best people. They really are very humble, very willing to help. And you don't see that. So I think that trickles all the way down from them all the way through our organization at corporate and in the field as well. There's not this air of, oh my goodness, they're a platinum, so I can't talk to them. Or, oh my goodness, Travis Gars is a head sales officer, I can't talk to him. Yeah. Everybody's accessible and everybody's willing to help. So I love that about the company. So products, compensation plan. It's funny, when I met with Jim at first, he said, Adam, the money's in the field, not at corporate. And I wasn't in a position to join the field. I really wanted to see what the corporate world was like. That's my first job in like 12 years. So I wanted to kind of test the waters again. But he said, the money's in the field. And then, I said, I've heard that before. Because I'd been, fed a bill of goods for years and it never came true. And so when I got inside and saw what people were making, it just blew me away. Leadership pools are just on top of it, on top of what everybody else is making. So the compensation plan, I love the binary. I love the teamwork that it really instills. The company I was a part of was a unilevel, meaning you sponsor as wide as you can, so as many people as you can, and then you work with those that want to work it. So you're really, it's a lot more effort. And then every time I got a promotion, I just turned the page and start over again. So my first group that got me promoted the first time didn't help me get promoted the second time. I had to do that 3, 4, 5 times.
Wow.
Harder and harder and harder to get to those next levels. And when you don't have people making money, that was the big thing. Was I was making money, but I couldn't get my team to that level.
Yeah.
And in network marketing, it's not about what you do; it's about how many people you can help get to a certain level, right? So, if you help 1,000 people get to $500 a month, you'll never have to worry about money ever again in your life, right? So I think a lot of people don't focus on that; they focus on their own promotion. But if you can help other people get promoted while still working your business, still sponsoring every single week, leading by example, this compensation plan is ridiculous. Literally, the volume not expiring. I was with a company that at the end of the month, if you didn't get promoted, your volume flushed every month. So you were always making those last minute phone calls on the 29th and 30th and try to convince your friends to come into the business and offering specials and deals because you knew at the end of the month you were going to lose the volume. So the fact that someone can come in and just start and go at their own pace or go fast or go slow, but that volume still builds left and right as long as they stay active, it's just huge. So then you add all the other stuff on top, the trips, the events. There's a lot to like about Isagenix. I could go on for the whole half hour about that. So
it's incredible. We have a girl who's been a happy product user for quite some time. And today someone just enrolled on her leg and she just cycled 37 times. Or, another example would be my mom, who's been active with me for 3 years, and she has over 700,000 points in volume on her leg. And you hear of these examples and you see this all the time. If people think that they're looking for that one unicorn, Adam. People think that they're looking for that one lotto ticket. And, like Lisa DeMeo said, it's not. It's a lot of people doing a little bit. And that's what's going to get you to that success.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't need to sponsor a ton of people in this business, right? Obviously, the more action that you're in will lead to finding more people, finding better people, and duplicating that through your entire group. But at the same time, I've never seen a comp plan where you can, honestly, and I don't want to say that this will happen, but it could happen to anybody. You could get lucky on the left and get lucky on the right. and max out your position, which is insane.
Yeah.
My dad signed up first in our company, and then he signed up my brother, and then he signed up me. If it was a binary, he would have put me on the left and my brother on the right. He would have been making $70,000 a month without putting anybody else in the business if we had Isagenix's comp plan.
Wow.
It was just mind-blowing. And he was never even close to that number. So
Wow.
using the idea, and we were sponsor monitors. We each put over 1,500 people into the business, and we never got to that level, not even close. So the fact that people are able to work at their own pace and build as they go and then not compete with other people. If you and I know the same person and you're underneath me, Angela, you take them, you sign them up. I don't care about the PIB. Sometimes people focus more on the PIBs, and so sometimes I think the PIBs can hurt people because they go into it thinking I'm going to get a commission off this person when they sign up versus I'm going to develop a relationship with this person and help them build a business, right? So give them if you have a mutual friend in common, give them to your team. That's the beautiful thing about the binaries. You don't have to fight over people.
Yeah, and Kathy taught me long ago, she said, put them down there and introduce them to somebody. She said, I was the one enrolling and Jim was the one that was working with them. She said, use your team that way, introduce them, you sponsor them and give them to Ed, to develop, or give them to Vicky. And so the team works together. So it's not just your person, it's our people. I mean, to max out, you need 75,000 on one side and 150 on the other. So it's about all of you guys working together and creating that volume. So before you get started on the pools, I want to ask you, I like a specific concrete plan. If somebody hits manager and they're going to follow a specific concrete plan to get to Crystal Director by that bonus, I believe it's May 13th.
Yeah.
Right? And to get top achievers and to earn President's Quest, what do you think is the magic formula? Because for me, I have the numbers in my mind. For me, it's enroll minimum 5 to 8 people a month, develop 1 to 2 consultants, create at least 1 Crystal manager, and try to focus on creating a new executive every quarter.
Well, I'll defer to you. I mean, obviously you're out there doing it, but I think those numbers are pretty true. I think everybody should have an expectation for themselves and of their team to at a minimum be enrolling 2 a week. Because then you're taking advantage of the double PIBs, then you're leading from the top, then you're teaching your team the importance of always being in action. Whether you're a consultant or whether you're a platinum, you should be doing 2 a week. I think following the millionaire in action, the leader in action formula, I think people, if they focus on that, right, so it comes down to enrollments, cycle growth, personally sponsored rank advancements, which you talked about. So following that is definitely something I think teams should focus on, because that does have that enrollment in there as well. But I mean, like you said, if you sponsored 5 to 8 a month, you're looking to develop 1 consultant, but the average person is only sponsoring 5 to 8 a year, right?
Yeah.
Then they're taking that much longer to find those people and develop those people. So, you can work with 5 to 8 a month, right? 5 to 8 a year, you're really not going to, maximize this plan. I mean, speed of the leader, speed of the team. So yeah, I think 5 to 8 is a good number to shoot for every single month for sure.
Yeah, and you know what I learned in the beginning, I was trying to enroll 15 people a month. And in the beginning, maybe you can do that. Some can do that when they first start. But guess what? When you enroll 15 people, it's very hard to work with 15. Whereas if you enroll 8 and then teach them how to enroll 2, you're going to get more than 15 people. Your team's going to grow bigger, but you're also developing leaders. So it's not just you enroll, slap spaghetti on the wall and hope for the best.
Right. Which a lot of people do, right? So
yeah.
So I mean, it is a bit of a numbers game, but at the same time, you have to still, even once you get to that point, especially where you are, I know you've probably, as you've grown your business, so important to spend your time in the right places, right? So people are sponsoring these people, and they are trying to get them to become a consultant or manager or director. So one of the top questions I get whenever I go out in the field is, how do I develop more consultants?
Yeah.
Right. The word is develop, not how do I get more consultants, right? Some people force their way to consultant. They try to drag someone across the finish line. You can't push a rope, right? You have to lead them to it. So I'd rather work on enrolling the right people, helping get them started. And if they become a consultant, great, but I'm not going to focus on, I got to get that person a consultant. And I think sometimes we focus too much on that versus, you know what, they're not the right person. The consultant that I'm looking for is going to go out and bring me 2 people to do a 3-way call within the next 5 days. Going to get them to consultant, and then we're going to move to the next level versus you always being the one hounding them, chasing them down. Are you coming to the event? Are you getting on the calls? If you're doing that, then you're spinning your wheels because you could be out there meeting somebody else who wants it better and more, right? Versus trying to get that person to do it.
That's so on point, because sometimes I have people that will text me a number and say, here, call this guy. And I'm like, dude, if I'm going to call him, I'm going to sign him up. I don't want to run your business. I want to teach you how to run yours. And if you don't set those standards, you got to have respect for yourself, and you got to treat this like a business. And when you show people, look, I'm looking to train and mentor you. I don't need this guy's phone number. I want to help you. If you set that tone right away, they're not going to take advantage of you. I know people that, they're so, I don't want to say desperate, but they want that volume and they want the enrollment so much that they wind up crippling people in the organization because they're not setting a good example.
Totally. And it'll trickle down from the top,
That's
right?
a wonderful point.
Yeah, just like, and you talked about how many people you have to sponsor to get to consultant, right? To get the one to become a consultant. If you don't know what your number is, track it, right? Look at how many people you sponsored last year or last month, how many consultants you developed. Now you have to do this over a period of time so you can start to see the ratios, but when you start to recognize them, let's say you have to sponsor 30 people to get 1 consultant. Yeah. Well, not the end of the world, but at least you know where you're starting from, right? If you sponsor 5 to get 1 consultant, that's great. But if you're at the other end of the spectrum and you're sponsoring a lot of people but not getting any people to rank advance, then you got to work on, okay, how am I getting this person started? What's the next step? How am I getting them plugged in? Am I sponsoring the wrong people, right? Am I just getting the sign up? So start to track that. I think everybody should do that. When you talk about treating it like a business, they should know their numbers. They should know how many people I need to talk to get to how many presentations, to get to how many enrollments, to get to how many consultants, managers, directors, executives on the way down the line. So, I mean, it's simple math and running your business. Like Jim Rohn says in his network marketing CD, in the beginning, you make up in numbers what you lack in skill. Yeah. Right. So in the beginning, you're not very good, right? So it might take you 100 presentations to get 5 signups. But as you get better, if you know what your numbers are, then you can work on getting better ratios, and then you develop your plan to get people started, and that helps you develop more consultants. So if you don't know where you're starting, how can you fix? How can you improve it?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And our team, we use a tracker, right? So with this tracker here, you
Tony, Fearless Networker.
Yeah, you can track how many calls you've made, how many messages you've left, how many presentations you've done, how many follow-ups, how many enrollments. But I think in addition to that, we should add how many consultants you've created. And honestly, this is something that I've been tracking, because when I beat myself up and I say, oh, I stink, I didn't hit 9-star, or I didn't hit 3-star, you know what? Look at how far you've come. The month of January, I had 0 cycles. Then 2014, I had 141. Then 2015, 337. You have to track your progress like a real business. And Isagenix has those documents and has those numbers. But when you reflect, you've got to look. And if you can see that, man, March seems to slow down for me, guess what you better be doing in December, January, and February? Yeah. You better be having more conversations if you want March to be a good month. So you've got to make up, for slower seasons. You've got to make up for the peaks, for the valleys, but you have to know those numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyone who's successful, I know Susan Sly has daily goals, weekly goals, quarterly goals, and yearly goals. And that's just treating it like a business as opposed to a hobby.
Well, before we get to sidetrack, should we get into some pools?
I would love to.
I know, we could talk for hours, right?
I like numbers, and I like you, so this is always fun. Do you need me to do a screen share, or
I was hoping to be at the office so I could use the whiteboard behind me, but if you guys have something to jot some notes down with, I'll just give you some numbers and some things to take down so you understand some of the key points. And if you have this recorded, then you guys can re-listen to it. But make sure you have something to jot some notes down with. Hopefully all of you are coming to ICU in Jersey, so we'll be going through this again, but this will kind of give you a good basis for understanding. And just so you know, so we're going to go through the director and it really includes the executive and one-star pool as well. They're exactly the same. The only difference is the share value and the caps a little bit, but they're very, very similar. So when we talk about the director pool, just know that it's very similar to the executive pool, and I'll share the minor differences just so you have them moving forward. So the director pools are not part of the base compensation plan. So it's important to know that it's a promotion, right? So it could end at any point. Now, it's been ongoing since I've been here, and I know it's been going on for years. So I don't see it going away anytime soon because it drives it. And what the pools are designed to do are to reward you for growing your business. Very simple, right? So in addition to earning the compensation that you're earning from your cycles and your PIBs, the pools are designed to reward you for growing your business. So what it's going to look at now, there's $75,000 every month in the director pool. There's $125,000 in the executive pool. So, and this is open to U.S., Canada, Puerto Rico. Really a North America focus here. So a few things to go over when we talk about the director pools. First, I want to touch on the qualifiers, right? So as you're a manager, as you're working towards director, it's important to note that, of course, you have to be a director to play in the pools. Now, once you hit director, that doesn't necessarily mean that you qualify to play in the pools. So how could that be, right? So I'm a director. How am I not in the director pools? Well, for one, you have to be a director, paid as director, all 7 days of a week for that week to count. And our week runs Sunday at 12:01 to Sunday night, right? So Monday to Sunday night. So important to know, okay, am I paid as director, right? So I need to have those 6 consultants. So that has to be every day of the week for that week to count. You have to have at least 2 growth of your cycles for the month. And I'll go through an example so you understand how this works. And you have to play in the pools at least 1 week of the month. So if I were you, if you don't already have this done, go to your contest and promotions tab, click on the director pool, the details, the flyer, print out that calendar. Because we don't operate on a monthly calendar here. We operate on a 4-4-5, so 4 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. So currently we're in a 5-week pool period. So you want to understand when those dates start and stop because they overlap, right? So they could go from January 15th to February 22nd. So if you're really looking to maximize these pools, you want to know when they start and when they end. Pretty simple, right? When does it begin? When does it end? How can I maximize it? And the other reason why that's helpful is if you're using this as a tool to get to top achievers, because if you earn $15,000 in the leadership pools for a calendar year, not a calendar year, but for a Isogenics recognition calendar year, then you earn your trip to top achievers, which is pretty cool. So we have a lot of people that track their leadership pool earnings to qualify for top achievers. So there we go, contest and promotions. So important to know where that is and print that off so you can make sure you understand where the details are. And a lot of what I'm going to go over here today is right here in this flyer. So perfect. Let's just leave this up. This is helpful. Let's go back up to that. There we go. When they start, when they stop, when they pay out. Okay. So let's say you hit director and okay, now let's say you hit it on Sunday night. So Monday you definitely want to stay paid as director. So you want to be a director all 7 days of that week. So if you are, then you qualify that week if you have the growth. So if we look at how we figure out if you have growth or not, we want to look at your cycles. So the director and executive pools are all based on your personal cycles. So what it's going to do is it's going to take a 4-week benchmark. It's going to look at your last 4 weeks, and it's going to add them all up and divide by 4. And in this example, we have 7, 1 week, 6, 8, and 6. So your benchmark is 5. Okay. So that's your benchmark. So that's what we're looking at. You have to grow above and beyond. Remember, the pools are designed to reward you for growing above and beyond your business, above and beyond your benchmark. So if we know that, then we look at, your personal cycles, your benchmark was 5. So if we're in the current month right now, and you say, okay, this month or this week I had 7 cycles, the second week I had 6, third week I had 8, fourth week I had 6. Okay, so you had growth. So if you look over to the right, you have your net cycle. So basically it's just taking your personal cycles minus your benchmark. And again, your benchmark is in your back office under your pool details, so you can look it up and see what your benchmark is. And it's going to look at that and say, what was your personal monthly net cycle growth? And in this case, it's 7. That number has to be higher than 2. Okay? So to qualify, you have to be a paid as director all 7 days of the week, and you have to have growth of at least 2 for the month. Now, as soon as you play in the pools, it's important to know that the first time you play in the director pool, start your clock. You only have 3 months to play in the director pool. Okay, it's not 90 days. It's 3 months. So let's say as we are right now, we're in the 5th week of the leadership pool month for March, right? So we're just ending the leadership pool. If this was the first week that you qualified, even though it's the last week of the month, it will count as month 1. So next month will be month 2, then month 3. So you don't want to be strategic and say, I'm going to wait until, a pool period is starting. You want to just dive in whenever you can, right? So you want to qualify as soon as you can. So it's going to look at that benchmark, look at your cycles, figure out if you had growth. And then it's going to determine, okay, that person had growth. How many weeks did they qualify? So if you scroll down, see if we scroll down here. Keep going, see if it has, I don't think it has the example. It doesn't. Go ahead and close that out. I'm looking at that versus, you can just exit the whole thing. All right. So we got our benchmark. Excuse me, losing my voice. We got our benchmark and we have our cycles every single week. So we want to make sure we have growth every single week in the pools. Once we have that number and say, okay, I've got 7 growth. So everybody pick a number, right? So pick what your benchmark is. So let's say it's 5, 10, 15, whatever it is. And then I want you to go through and say, okay, week 1, I had 17 cycles, then 20. So go above your benchmark. So everybody kind of do their own example just to try to figure out the math here. So Angela, what's your benchmark? Not your personal, but just for the example.
Let's say my benchmark is 10.
Okay. And then what were your cycles, weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4?
My cycles were 12, 14, 11, and 10.
Okay. So what was your growth?
My growth was 7 cycles.
7 cycles. Okay. Okay, perfect. Now, were you paid as director all 7 days of the week for all 4 weeks?
I was paid as director for, let's say, 3 of those weeks.
The 3 of the weeks. So here's the equation, right? So it's going to take that first number, 7. So that's her growth above her benchmark. Okay. Then it's going to divide by how many weeks are in that pool month. So in this case, there were 4. Then we're going to multiply times how many weeks she qualified. So in this case, we have 7 divided by 4. Thanks for the easy math.
7 divided by the 4 weeks.
Let's say you had 8. So 8 divided by 4 weeks.
8 divided by 4.
Multiply times how many weeks she qualified, because she didn't qualify 1 week.
Yep.
So you'd have 6. So you'd have 6 shares, right? So that's your shares. So now the cool thing about the director and the executive pool is you don't know what the share value is going to be. It's basically going to say, okay, who qualified? Here's 75 grand. Let's see, how many people are in that pool. So if there's less people playing, share value is higher. If there's more people playing, share value is lower. I've seen it anywhere from $50 to $200 for the director pool. I've seen it anywhere from $100 to $350 for the executive pool. So obviously you want to get to the executive pool because there's more money in it, right? So if we let's say the share value is $200, all right? Let's say it's a low participation month, all right? So let's just aim for the moon. So $200 a share, 6 shares, $1,200 for that month. However, here's the star or the fine print at the bottom or the guy that talks really fast on the commercial that you can't hear, right? This is the important stuff that you guys need to know. So there are caps on what you can earn in the director pool and the executive pool. So if you earn between 1 and 5 shares in the director pool or the executive pool, the max you can earn is $500. If you earn between 6 and 10 shares in the director pool or executive, the max is $1,000. If you earn more than 10 shares, the max for the director pool is $2,500, and the max for the director pool for the executive pool is $5,000. Okay, so if we can play 3 months in the director pool, the max you can earn in those 3 months is $7,500. Okay, if you can, and now in the executive pool you have 6 months to play. I'm not going to go deep into that, but you have 6 months to play in the executive pool with a max of $5,000. You can earn $30,000 in those pools. So $37,500 for playing these pools. And again, this is just above and beyond the normal compensation plan. Yeah. So when we talk about the share values, why that's super important. Number one, with these pools, you can figure out how many shares you're going to have. In your back office, it shows your benchmark. It shows what you had each week. It even gives you estimates of what you're going to hit. So then you can calculate it and say, okay, I'm at 4 shares right now. If I push hard and I get to 6, I know my cap goes from 500 to 1,000. Or if I know I'm at 8 or 9 shares, I want to push hard to get over 10. Perfect example, right? In this situation, we had 6 shares, $200 a share. Instead of earning $1,200, the cap 6 to 10 is 1,000, right? So you made $1,000, still pretty good. However, if you had 9 shares, 9 times 200, $1,800, capped at 1,000 still because you're between 6 and 10, right? So if you knew that, imagine you knew that and you get from 9 to 10.1, right? And we do fractions, so it doesn't have to be 11. It has to be higher than 10. So anything higher than 10 counts. So if you're at 10, let's say you get to 11. 11 times 200, $2,200, right? So instead of earning 1,000, you're in $2,200. So knowing those caps, I've seen people just miss that, just not understand, wow, I'm at 5 cycles, I should get to 6. Or hey, I'm at 9 cycles, I should get to 10 and a half. So knowing what those caps are is just super, super important. So I would say that is what a lot of people miss. They miss staying active, staying at that director level, and then they just don't know what their benchmark is. So you can have a down week, right? That doesn't matter. As long as you have a week that follows that where you have an up week, it just looks at the entire month. So we're not worried about, okay, you had negative cycle growth one week. That's okay. Make up for it the next week, right? So you can't just throw in the towel and say, oh, I'm not going to qualify this month because I had a down week. It just looks at it and says, okay, you had growth of 7, 8, 9, -1. The -1 just factors into the other growth. It's not like you don't play just because you had one down week. So that's really important. Did I miss anything on that, Angela?
No, I think it's perfect. And I have to be honest, a lot of people don't look at that pool. And, with this time, it's 5 weeks, guys. That's a really big deal, especially with chocolate mint shakes when your cycles grow. I mean, people who are executive are getting $15,000, $20,000 pools because the numbers went up so much. I look in my leadership pools every single day. I open those reports. Those are your reports. If your boss at work is saying, okay, well, you're an average of 8. If you get to an average of 9, you're going to get $1,000. They're giving you free money. Use those freaking reports to gauge where you are and where you have to go. And I mean, what Adam's saying is very crucial. If you grow an average of 5, you get $500. That little bit of effort just to get to 6, not even 6, a fraction, 5.1 will get you 1,000. So you have to start utilizing these reports. You have to get familiar. You have to watch your numbers. Thank you for pointing that out.
Really important. And so, that's why we talk about making sure we develop consultants versus forcing people to get to consult. I had a call this morning with a top leader, and he said, I fell out of executive because someone, returned a product. Well, okay, that's going to happen. So he fell off. So fell off one day. The next day he's not executive. That whole week doesn't count, right? And that's just the way, that's what the system's going to look at and say, are you executive? Are you director? Are you staying qualified? If so, did you have growth? Yes. Boom. Check. Right? So I want to make sure you guys stay on top of that. So, and that's why you want to have a buffer, right? You don't want to have just 6. So, as you have 6, work to get to your executive level, and don't try to play in that pool the entire time. You want to get to the executive pool as fast as you can because, number one, the cap goes to 5,000 and there's more money in, right? The share values go up. So that's really important to understand. So the qualifiers, staying paid as, making sure you have your growth, knowing what your benchmark is, knowing when the calendar starts and when it stops, and just understanding the math of it all. And then once you have that, knowing what the caps are is really important. And then teaching this to your team, because at that level, right, our cycles aren't built up to the point where we can walk away from our jobs or whatever else we're doing. We're working on building up the back end. We're working on building up the cycle. So as we're doing that, that's where the ranked advanced bonuses come in. That's where the 5-cycle bonus comes in. That's where the PIBs come in. The leadership pools are just another way to help subsidize and supplement your income as you're building towards the higher levels. right? So
I think it's magnificent. They look for more ways to pay you, to compensate you early on. They want you to get paid for your effort, not just in PIBs and vitamins and bonuses and rank advancements. They threw in the 5-cycle bonus, hit 5, get 5 for free. I mean, there's a lot of money on the table, and all you have to do is really print it, follow the form. There's $10,550 in upfront money. That's a lot, and you have to print it and follow these tracks. So can we do just a brief couple bullet points on executive? So
the only difference between executive and director is obviously you need to be paid as director, right? So as soon as you hit, let's say you're a director for 3 weeks and then you're executive the last week, you'd get paid 3 weeks in the director pool, 1 week in the executive pool, and your executive pool clock would start. So once you hit executive, or once you hit the executive pool, your executive pool starts. So you don't, you can't go back to the director pool. And you have 6 months to play in the executive pool. That's the difference, is you have 6 months to play. And then obviously there's more money in it, $125,000 versus $75,000. And then the only cap difference is that 10 or more goes from $2,500 to $5,000 for the executive pool. But that's really the main difference. And that's the executive and 1-star pool. So the next pool up would be the 2 to 3-star pool. But the calculations are exactly the same. It's going to look at what your growth was, what your benchmark was. It's going to look at how many weeks you qualified. Let's see how many weeks were in the month. And it's going to say, okay, you earned X amount of shares. Based on that, here's your payout. So I would just really look at the dates. Start to focus on, okay, this next pool is going to start on Monday, right? So we want to make sure we jump in. And even if you're not director yet, if you can get to director by the end of the month, don't wait for a pool period to start. You never want to be strategic in your business, right? Some people are like, oh, I'm just going to wait this. I'm going to hold this person back. I'm going to, if you do it, your team's going to do it, right? So do what's best for everybody, right? So get promoted as fast as you can, because that's going to help you play in this pool, then get to the executive pool and play in that one.
Awesome. So must be paid as executive every day from Sunday to Sunday. View the calendar to know how many weeks. Is it also grow by 2 for executive? Okay, awesome. So grow by 2, and that's it. And now you've qualified for $125,000 leadership pool. So
you only have to play 1 week in that pool as well. So even if you qualify 1 week in the pool.
Awesome. So I think we should start with that. Let's open it up for a couple questions if you have a few minutes.
Sure.
I think we'll have another call for our leadership team in terms of playing in the 2 to 4-star and 5 and above. The 7-star pools, I think, should be a different conversation. So if anyone has a question for Adam, would you kindly just okay, Ed is raising his hand. Go ahead, Ed.
Hey, Adam, how are you? Just to clarify, once you hit director, right, if you do fall off 3-4 weeks, the clock does not reset when you come back on, correct?
Well, it depends when you say hit director. So you could hit director and fall back off, but still not qualify to play in the pool, right? You could be a director, hit director on Wednesday. That wouldn't count that week. Let's say you fall back on Sunday or Monday the next week, so you haven't played in the pools. You haven't qualified. So even though you might be a director, you want to look and say, did I qualify the pool?
So is there like a time frame that you're a director until you cannot?
First time.
It's not. Okay.
The minute you start playing in the pools, the first time you ever get to play in the pool, the clock starts for 90 days.
Not 90 days, 3 months.
3 months.
3 months. So it could be 65 days, right? Because if you're in the last week of a pool period, that's month 1, then month 2, month 3.
Got it.
And then to go a little further in your question, if you hit director and you do play in the pools, but then the next month you fall out and don't play, that still counts as month 2. So your clock it's not 3 months of playing in the pools, it's 3 consecutive months.
Okay, that's what I want. Thank you.
Yep.
Does anyone else have any questions? Michael has a question. I'll unmute. Go ahead, Mike.
All right, so you're saying like for the 1 to 5 shares growth, for example, it's $500. That you can hit that in the 3 consecutive months. It's all 3 times. Like
Correct. Yeah, and just because you hit 1 to 5 shares doesn't mean you earn $500.
Right.
Like you could earn $80.
It's up to 500. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can hit the different. So if you're 6 or 10 the following month, you can hit the different ones.
Oh, totally.
Okay.
Yep.
That's a good question, Michael. Anyone else have a question? Swing your Monique.
Hey, thank you so much. This is really great. It's really making some sense for me now. I have a question actually on the base compensation plan that maybe you can clarify.
Okay.
When we're moving over to customer first and people are going to get switched over to, say, a preferred customer, are they then not going to have the back BEV, or are we going to, how's that going to work?
Are they not going to have the what BV? The bank BV?
The bank BV.
Well, if they're an associate right now and they're banking volume, but they're not building the business, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Well, as long as they're active, they're not going to revert back to preferred customer.
Oh, okay. So as long as they have 100 BV.
Then they're still going to be an associate and they're still going to be banking volume.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's something.
I thought I read the email differently. Like I thought it said that they had to tell customer service they wanted to stay an associate.
No.
My email, I swear that's what it said. All right, cool.
It might, but if someone's an associate and they're staying active, then they're nothing changes.
So they don't have to do anything. All right.
No.
Awesome. Thank you for clarifying.
We were told that there's going to be some kind of opt-in button, but there's weekly calls on that, right? So as it rolls out, it's kind of like a trial and error thing. We're going to learn more. We'll figure it out together. So
it's all positive. Trust me. When you have these little situations like, okay, is an associate going to lose out because now all of a sudden they're going to drop back to customer and they're going to, trust me, they looked at all that and they want to do what's the model of the company? Do what's right for the associate, right? Do what's best for the customer. So they're not going to say, oh, here's a chance where we can get all that BV. But no, they're going to do the right thing and they're going to look at all these different scenarios. And if there's something that comes up that's kind of like we should probably do it this way, they're going to err on the side of doing what's best for the customer. So.
As they always have.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyone else have any questions about director pool, executive pool? Okay, we got until May 13th to run for Crystal Director. Congratulations to every single one of you for hitting Manager and Crystal Manager. It's huge. It's the entire compensation plan. You share plus they share, repeat over and over. So you go back to the drawing board and you do it 4 more times and you get to Director and let's play in those pools. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I mean, those pools really help to supplement. They do while you're growing your cycles. So,
and if you guys are going to be at ICU next week, come up, give me a high five or a hug. Love to say hello and meet you in person. So look forward to seeing everybody there.
Adam, thank you so much. I really appreciate you for always rolling up your sleeves and getting to work. And you're the best. And we're very, very grateful to have you here on the East Coast. So everybody, I'm going to unmute. Let's give Adam a big woohoo and a big thank you. Thank you, Adam.